where I've been looking at different videos on the gameplay of Doom 3. And I've started watching some speedruns of Fear. I might start watching some just general videos on Fear before long. Like I've been doing it with Quake 4. I've been thinking about Quake 4, but I'm probably just going to, I could play both basically at the same time, just alternating them here and there, whatever. But probably predominantly I'm in the mood for Fear. But, once you play the game for over 20 years, it's a lot different than somebody that's brand new day one to the game. It's like, yeah, you don't necessarily want a game to hold somebody's hand, but you don't want it to not tell them fucking anything about what to do, right? It's like Iron Storm is the opposite problem where that game would massively benefit from some fucking yellow spray paint, right? It's like if you're going to use the kludge or whatever, then that's the place to fucking do it. But I think a lot of gamers, like it's not, well, these modern kind of like new gamers, I wouldn't personally consider them gamers, but they showed up for the fictional social stratification. But it's not that they don't want to think, because I mean they're frankly really not capable to start with. It's more like they don't really want to have to do anything. Like everything is a quick time event now, because if you're playing Fear or even a more faster paced game like Painkiller or whatever, you're not really thinking about it either. Even if you're pretty new to it, yeah, you might to some degree consciously be aware of it, but there's like an innate or like intuitive thing to it where it's like being good at Quake 3. You don't like logic or like rational your way into, being good at Quake 3. I always sucked at arena shooter type bullshit like that. I remember I got Quake 3 back in the day, like late enough to where they had it as a bundle with Quake 3 Team Arena, and it was like $20. Yeah, nobody. Oh man, Quake 3 would be great with teams. Yeah, but nobody played Team Arena. That's the thing. I had it. I played it back then. It's dead. But I think it's more that they just don't have that sort of first-person shooter type intuition. It would be like some of my exes where like they're playing RPGs or something, and I can't really follow what's going on. But then I show them me playing Fear, or they're like, or like Painkiller or whatever, and they're like, "What the fuck are you even doing?" Right? They just see us like a smear on the screen of me just jumping all over the place, right? And it's more about what you're tuned for, and that's why modern gaming is about. Well, just press button, press X to advance the plot, right? And I hate it when quick time events supplant context sensitivity. I remember that reading in gameplay magazines, game magazines in the early 2000s. That was a big thing. Games having context sensitivity, right? But it's like they replaced it all with quick time events, and it's like that's not the same thing, right? Like, so proper context sensitivity would be like Fear. If I jump at a ladder and press the F key, I mean it's F for me. I'll attach to the ladder. And sort of like I've mentioned before, Fear has phenomenal ladders. One of the best ways of handling ladders I've ever seen. Doom 3 is more in the realm of if you turn the wrong way, you just fly off the fucking ladder type bullshit, right? But, Fear is pretty unique. It's got most of the melee kind of feel of Condemned. You could tell real easily how it went from that to Condemned, right? Um, but then at the same time, it has that fast paced feel while also having this sort of kind of attached feeling, right? Like pretty much literally for stuff like that, you have to press use to interact with shit. When you do, levers move and this and that, so it's like a true interactivity feeling, and like you even see yourself actually grabbing hold of the ladder and moving up and down and bullshit like that. But like Doom 3 and all these other different games, you get to a point where you just start giving yourself self-imposed challenges. And as I mentioned already, Fear was nice that it feels like they actually anticipated a lack of slow-mo. So even though, yeah, it is more difficult, it still feels fair, like most of the time. I mean, sometimes you get bullshit in all these fucking games, and like I get pissed the fuck off. But, you know, it feels like they really thought 2 steps ahead on everything. But the way that you play fear, whether you use exploits or whatever you want to call them, or advantages as I would normally call them, like you can, it severely changes the meta. So for an example, I remember watching Civi's review of fear, and all I could say is I use totally different weapons than he does. However, one thing I will also say is that my choice of weapons is based off of the fact that I'll use the pickup exploit. So this game, Fear has a weird ammo tracking method where the ammo is tied to the particular weapon, and you get more ammo for picking up a weapon brand new than you get from picking up an additional one, and like whatever it adds to your reserves, right? But because the ammo is tracked to the specific firearm, what that means is, for an example, with the assault rifle, if you pick one up and you just start picking up ones as they hit the floor, you're going to be struggling to have any fucking, G3A3 ammo, assault rifle ammo. But if you take the one you already have, throw it down, pick up that new one, you get more ammo to start with because the game only considers what's in your inventory already. But then you go back to that other one and pick it up, you get all the ammo it had, to the point to where in some cases I'll be kind of like how I'll do in Condemned, where I'll have like a trail of guns everywhere I go. I'm just dropping them as I move, right? Get all the secret guns and just carry them with me everywhere like that. I'll do that in Fear to some extent, where I'll have 2 different assault rifles with 450 max ammo. And there's actually this one part on the rooftop bit after Bishop or whoever the fuck it is gets killed, where you have to fall down this tall path or whatever, and like I'll have 2 of those, and I'll actually chuck one over the side and just bring the other with me. So when I use it up, I just run back and grab the other one. You might consider that an exploit. I consider that an advantage because I don't know. In my opinion, an exploit would be like out of bounds stuff or this or that. There's not really a hard definition. It really depends on the game, how you feel, and like this and that. But you know the point being is that if you do the ammo pickup glitch, you'll do probably like me, and most of the game you'll have the ASP rifle, the the fucking what's the other one? Damn it. But either way, another one, once you can get the repeating cannon, you'll have it the rest of the game, right? But if I play without using that glitch, then yeah, I'm using the submachine gun and the shotgun and probably the pistols or penetrator the whole game, because that's most of what enemies carry. And it's kind of ridiculous how little ammo you get from a new from a an additional pickup compared to a new one. So I don't know. The Fear to an extent is one of those games. The reason I'll allow myself to do that is, I mean, partly I just want to play it differently, but also to an extent it's like it should have just been that much ammo pickup to start with. So what's weird is Doom 3 gets a BFG where they add extra ammo that you didn't need unless you're just wasting it on purpose. But Fear is like a lot of first-person shooters where it's like you're like starved for fucking ammo all the time. Again, depending on what you have and this and that. If you don't use that glitch, yeah, you're going to feel it probably on Extreme at least. And it's like it's not a survival horror game, right? It's not Resident Evil. It's basically John Woo with like jump scares. And Painkiller, as I mentioned, as a sort of comparison, it's on that specific thing kind of the opposite, where even on Trauma, if you don't use the double ammo pickup tarot card, it still seems like, oh yeah, you'll get low here and there, but it seems like a pretty fair amount of ammo for the most part. But playing without slow mo will modify how you play the game, because obviously you have to be more careful because you don't have as much reaction time. But something that will really severely change how you play the game is if you do what I started doing in the last couple years, where I've done runs where I keep saying runs. Like I said, I don't do speed runs, but playthroughs where I only take, or rather, I don't take health or ammo pickups. So whatever I start at is whatever I end with. I don't. You can pick up med kits and just not press the button, but you really have to avoid armor because it'll automatically apply if you're low. And even that, I sort of titrated, right? So, like for an example, I use the dev menu to just load a particular level separately. And if you load it individually like that, you start out with full health and armor. Well, I have tried going start to finish with the same health and armor you start with, and I can't do it without a ton of saves coming. But that's also another way you can, artificially impose challenges is, I start doing stuff like that where I'll limit myself to a particular like number of saves, manual saves, hard or quick, or limit myself to just the auto saves or something like that. But yeah, like it gets to a point where you're just kind of doing. It's like you could just about play it blindfolded, so it's like something to make the enemies feel like they're challenging at all. But if you do it like that and you start playing without slow-mo, if you're not already used to it, or, if you start doing slow-mo and you're avoiding health or armor or both, or limiting your saves and this and that, you'll notice even in that case, even whether you use the ammo glitch or not, that alone will also affect your weapon choices. And you'll definitely also notice that you play a lot more slow and methodical in that scenario, right? Like, if you like, even on extreme, slow-mo makes it, in my opinion, way too easy. Yeah, so yeah, you can still just run around like a retard, even on extreme if you're using slow-mo. But you start to, stop being able to get away with that, once you start to do these other challenges. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not, sure how much more I could say about it in another, 3 minutes or whatever. Maybe, as usual, maybe not the most articulate video, but at least I'm getting the thoughts out there. But it is interesting how differently a game can play and how you like switch up the meta just off the difficulty, right? Like, so on hard mode in Half-Life, the sodas out of vending machines and even shit like the Hornet gun start to become incredibly useful. And, there's various reasons for that, but yeah. Some games, though, are like Doom 3, and probably the only one that, in my opinion, significantly affects it is Nightmare Mode, just because you're ticking down constantly. And if they did Nightmare Plus, like I mentioned before, I think they should also do a Nightmare Plus Plus, where, like, back before the game came out, I read about Nightmare Mode. I misinterpreted, however, they wrote it as meaning that your health would just constantly tick down until you were dead. Now, that would be pretty fucking interesting. That would definitely be an extra challenge. Not sure how exactly you would pull that off, because there's some parts of the game where you could be waiting for quite a bit. Who knows? Maybe they could just give you the leeway of a few health kits here or there or something. I don't know. But, like, that fucking weird rotating bridge thingy that's in, like, the central processing in Doom 3, right? Like, something like that. Yeah, you could be on that for quite a bit. And even if you were at max health already, you might be dead before you got anywhere. So I'm not sure how exactly you might balance something like that. And that might already be a fucking mod for all I know. But, I think self-imposed challenges are some of the greatest ones. And, there's also shit like Splinter Cell. Like Chaos Theory, I've been playing it on expert 100%, every time, like stealthing it for basically as long as the game has been out. You can make games a lot harder. Sometimes it's kind of built in like that, or like, Silent Assassin runs on like Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, or Contracts or whatever. But a lot of games like Doom 3, I kind of find it hilarious that they wanted to make it easier on BFG because, dude, playing playing Veteran, frankly, feels like all the years I spent playing it on fucking easy mode. Yeah, I'm going to end the video there. So I'm out of 15 minutes.